How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for taking a little time out of your day to do this interview. I'm really excited. We've done the first one, what was it, about a month ago or some time ago?
April.
I'm
That's
sorry?
what it was the first week of April, so I want to say it was what, 6 weeks ago, something like that.
Right. And so we did the first interview with you, um, and it went well. So we're just kind of doing a follow up, basically to talk a little bit about how your progress has been and the things that you've noticed with the Eat for Life lifestyle. Eat to Live, Eat for Life is Dr. Joel Furman's new book, which you've been doing some reading with that in your group and so on. And so we're gonna talk about some of that stuff today. So some fun stuff to cover in here that you'll be able to people will be able to gain some great information from. So I know you've been doing some food prep and bulk cooking. How has that been going? And maybe just talk a little bit about that, like what you've been preparing and how that's working.
It's going really well. I've been going through the drthurman.com website, the cookbooks that I have, such as um, the Quick and Easy cookbook from Dr. Thurman. I do have a paid membership. It's like $8 a month through drthurman.com. And on a side note, you get a discount for a lot of things on his online store with that $8 a month discount. So that is already paid for itself because I bought those supplements. But lots of good recipes on the Eat to Live and Vegetarian boards that I've been trying. And it's fun to look at these different recipes because so many of them, such as the bean-based soups, you can freeze. And so I work 12-hour shifts, and then it's a 45-minute commute. And so when I'm off work or between shifts, I sleep and go back to work. I don't have time to meal prep ahead of time. And so what I've learned for me, and I had Ready to Live, implemented those things, and then backslide because preparation is key. So if you have a bunch of stuff that you can already make and grab in your freezer, and so not only do I have soups made, and some other main dish type of things that freeze well, but I also bulk make salad dressing. And so for some of my homemade dressings, I can just grab a salad dressing, some frozen blueberries, and then for one of my favorites is what is it? It's like a banana based dressing with blueberries and romaine lettuce. Super easy, tastes good every time. And so preparation I've found is really the key. In fact, I've made so many soups in the past couple days that my freezer was full. I went and bought a bunch of frozen vegetables and I had to rearrange and really shove everything in there to fit. But it's so handy to get to work and have something that I know is going to taste good, I know is compliant, I know will fill me up. Because, like I said, with getting off track and derailed, lack of preparedness, mindfulness, you know, that's what gets me off track. Because if I get to work and it's something that tastes disgusting, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the little snack area and I'm going to buy myself some processed food because that's all there is because I'm hungry.
Right. And that's what happens with so many people. You're speaking, Katie, for so many people. We're so busy in this life with, in this modern culture. And if you don't have, and if you're not prepared, it's too easy to just start, you know, grabbing stuff that you shouldn't be eating that's not healthy if you don't have the food prep done. And like you said, for taking it to work, it's so convenient, it's so great. And well, it's really easy to know what you're going to have today when you leave for work. So yeah, that's huge. Your progress, how has that been going? I know you've been doing this now for a while, and talk a little bit about your cravings, your food cravings, because that is one of the hardest things for people to overcome right now. They are so powerful to processed foods, mainly processed foods, and your appetite being suppressed. Have you noticed anything since you've been doing this? How long?
Yeah, I have actually. So progress wise, my clothes fit better. I'm really excited to be able to wear clothes that I haven't been able to wear in a while. And one of the really interesting things that I've been reading up on in my Dr. Thurman books and listening to his lectures is about real hunger versus toxic hunger. And I've noticed problems with my own food addiction, and especially emotional eating, and then of course working long hours. Sometimes that causes problems with routines and appetite, right? Because it sometimes it screws up your appetite, especially if you're really tired and you're still at work and you want to eat more. Um, but one of the things that you inspired me to do in one of your posts is to start doing wheatgrass juice. So I got some organic, non-GMO wheatgrass in a powder form, and I need to read up more on wheatgrass. But I've been doing wheatgrass for a few weeks, and I started with a quarter teaspoon in water, and I've worked up to a full teaspoon of water, and I'm drinking it first thing in the morning, when I wake up. And wheatgrass is full of phytochemicals, so we can get instantly flood our body with nutrients, right? And I like that. But I've noticed that since I've gone up to 1 teaspoon of wheatgrass juice like a week ago, excuse me, that my appetite has really been what I would call more appropriate, right? Or not waking up and feeling like I'm starving, right? Like, even if it's been several hours, I feel like I have better control over when I'm actually hungry versus just eating because, okay, well, it's, blah, 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 time. I guess it's time to eat. Or, I just woke up, it's time to eat. And being really honest with myself and saying, you know what, how hungry am I really? So like this morning I was a little bit hungry, and this sounds so silly saying it over the internet, but I just had a few bites of, here and a few bites there, nutritarian foods, and oops, screen blocked out. There you go. Are you still there?
We're still here. Yeah.
Totally blacked out. That was weird. But anyway, but that satisfied me. Now, the other thing I've been doing is so not only am I drinking the wheatgrass when I wake up, but I'm drinking like probably the other 2 liters of water when I first wake up too. So I've noticed that I'm drinking more water, but my caloric needs are not as high. I still love to eat, but I really am. The only thing that I've changed in the last 2 weeks is going up, working up to that 1 teaspoon of wheatgrass at a time, and I typically do that twice a day. And I did make one other change. I got the vitamins, the women's once a day supplements from drfearman.com, and I read up on vitamins and really started to realize how the quality and the bioavailability of whatever vitamin we choose to consume is really important, and not taking stuff with folic acid in it. And the ones from Dr. Thurman, not only are they plant-based vitamins with the correct supplements that we probably need as people who eat very little meat, but they also have a mushroom powder in them too. And so you're getting that extra boost for your immunity and so forth, but without the folic acid. So I've only made those 2 changes in the last couple of weeks, but my energy's improved, my mentality has improved. I had slacked off on my Eat to Live stuff, and I came back to Eat to Live a few months ago in reference to more significant problems with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and noticing manic spells in myself. And so I really feel like in a couple of months, this has all been being corrected. It's incredible.
Yeah, so it's really coming together. You're starting to know progress, or starting to see progress. Your appetite is suppressed, and your cravings too are diminished somewhat, right, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really fun to watch that, and for a while, this winter, I was craving more food, particularly in, a certain point in my shift when I was tired, and it's particularly like salty, crunchy foods. I've never been a big chip eater, but crackers, salty peanuts, you know,
All
stuff
those
like
foods
that.
that most of us crave, right? Normal,
Candy bars,
yeah,
yes, and I was
all the
craving
junk.
candy bars, and you know, and that's really been minimalized. Or gone, you know. I mean, obviously, if I chose to pick up a Snickers bar and eat one every single day, if you've done research, which I know you have, and many of our listeners or your listeners have, but it, all that stuff is highly addictive. And so if I ate one today, I'm probably going to want one tomorrow, and I'm going to want a Diet Coke with that too. And I'm happy to say I haven't had any Diet Coke in months. I've been able to give that up, and that was a step in my process where you have routines, and to get rid of a routine, and in this place replace it with water. Oh, I do have a tip for people about drinking more water, and that's something I realized I was struggling with, particularly at work. If you Can I share it?
Yes, absolutely.
So I realized that at work, I spend more waking time of my life at work than I do at home. Um, I was drinking more flavored waters and soda, and then I realized one day that I hate the flavor of the water at work. It tastes like the lake, and so
Well, and
so
for
it,
people, you want to be drinking at least filtered water, not tap water, because there's so many harmful chemicals and toxins and metals in the water. So go ahead.
well, and even filtered water at work tastes bad, and so I've realized that this. And I hope that I don't get in trouble for saying that over the internet, but I don't care for it. It's a preference, and so bringing water to work, picking up one of those gallons of water from the grocery store, has enabled me to drink enough water where I feel satiated and I feel good, and so that's a little step, but a big part of implementing a plant-based lifestyle and making changes is recognizing where we're going wrong, right? And if we're drinking stuff that has sweeteners in it, whether they're natural sweeteners or artificial sweeteners, that's just one area where I've struggled, but it makes us want to keep eating processed foods. Okay, so we can start identifying issues, that are relevant, whether it be your morning routines, whatever, then we can make some real changes and live a better life and feel good. If you would have told me 4 months ago when I was really going through some crappy stuff that I would feel this good, and I would have I would have started laughing
Isn't
or
that something?
crying.
Isn't that
Yes.
something? And we want people to know that this lifestyle is so life changing. It changes you. And you only can begin to realize how powerful it is when you start experiencing just the things that we're talking about. I've experienced it, it's transformed my life, and you're starting to experience it also. And it's one of the most wonderful things.
It really is. And I have to say, I admire your courage for speaking publicly about issues pertaining to mental health. It's given me courage to be a little bit more transparent online, because it's a big deal. It's very vulnerable. But I admire you for that, because when Dr. Fuhrman quotes a bunch of research about how many people, and I can't remember the number, but it's more than 50% of Americans struggle with anxiety and depression issues.
Right? It's
Some people are,
one in five people as of right now deal with some form of mental illness.
and that is people who are willing to admit it.
That's right. That's a great point, Katie.
So when we start allowing people an opportunity to realize they're not alone in struggling with mental illness, and that maybe we can take in highly nutritious foods versus other interventions, and start with highly nutritious foods, and you're going to feel better faster than a medication would. And I am all for taking medications. I'm 100% think that if that's what you need, then work with your doctor. But in the meanwhile, look at this, the storm's starting to come in.
My goodness.
But in the meanwhile, you have to eat regardless. And so you can take in, nutritious foods to help yourself feel better.
Right. How's the storm? I mean, are you under shelter, or do we need to wrap this up, or
Yeah, there's a shelter, but I have it's
nothing?
sprinkling.
Nothing like
Let's,
doing
let's,
live videos, right?
I know. I love it. I love being outside. It was so beautiful when I got here a little while ago.
Well,
Well,
let me know if it starts getting bad and we need to wrap it up. Otherwise, this is
let's talk for a couple more minutes.
okay.
What else could we talk about?
Yeah. So, as you were saying, okay, so you've been reading Eat for Life as well as myself, and you've been hosting a group. There we are. Dr.
Yes,
Joel
yes.
Furman's newest book, and it's some of his best work that he says he feels also, because it's a combination of kind of all his books and the science and the research combined into one, into this book, including Eat to Live. So it's an amazing book, but you've been reading it, and you've also been doing a book reading club on Facebook where why don't you talk about that, Kitty, and how that's going?
Okay, so we just finished up this book with book club for plant-based eaters. I always have to say
Yes,
that very slowly.
it's a
And I
mouthful.
was in because I was the host for this book, and we had a pretty good response. The 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 wonderful and bad thing about Eat for Life is that it is very, very information heavy. So we were covering 2 chapters a week. There's 9 chapters total, but chapter 9 is all recipes, which I gotta say, the ones I've tried are wonderful. But so 8 chapters, 2 a week, and they're very long and they're very information heavy. I've loved the chapters I've read, but it's taken quite a bit of time, and I don't want to just speed read things. I want to really process and metabolize this information and make it useful. But I love it. We were talking about hunger and appestat a minute ago, and there's a whole chapter. Which chapter is this? Chapter 6. It's about the struggle to lose weight, and it's talking about why diets fail. And so I'm talking about the book being very information heavy, because it is, but it covers a whole bunch of very important subjects, and it's not like you're reading really boring medical journals. He's interpreted and has references to all this stuff in the book, pages and pages of notes in the back that we can reference if you want to go read the study for yourself. But I'm flipping through the book. I really love this book. And another thing that I've really loved was hearing Dr. Thurman talk about it on the Food Revolution Network with John and Ocean Robbins. And I love hearing Dr. Thurman speak and educate. He's like the Judge Judy of nutrition. He's hilarious.
He's
And
wonderful.
so he is. So reading the book is, like I said, it's information heavy, but I highly recommend it. You just have to know you're not going to read it in one sitting, unless you're a super fast reader.
Yeah. And it's one of those books to just have on hand, because you can always go back and reread it, because there's so much information that it's hard to retain all of that. And you're also you came up with a group on Facebook, which I think is brilliant. It's great. It's called Practically Plant-Based, right? And
Yes,
so
that's correct.
that's when it's growing. And maybe talk a little bit about that, Katie, your group.
Okay, so I have a little group, and it's mostly friends and family. But it's a public group, and I've been sharing tips that have worked for me, a very practical way, because you start learning about a plant-based lifestyle. And when I first started really, learning about, okay, how in the world am I going to eat almost all fruit and vegetables? I'm a single mom, I pay child support, I work a gazillion hours a week, I don't have any spare time. You know, now I've got to figure out how to live my life completely different, run my house in a different way, and how in the world do I cook without oil and sugar and salt? It's very overwhelming. And so I've created a blog page or a Facebook page. Sorry, wrong word. But a Facebook page to help break it down, make it easy, make it livable. You know, here are recipes that I'm doing that have worked in my home. I have, like I said, I'm a single mom, divorced mom. I have 3 children. 2 of them are autistic. And so, you know, we've got sensory issues and we've got emotional things that maybe are other people could relate to, or maybe are a challenge, more challenging than other people's kids. Lots of people have autistic children. And so I feel like this is a really good asset for people to have somebody there that you can ask questions, break it down, you know, okay, Katie says that this is a really good recipe, you know, and it's easy, you know, okay, well, you know, whatever. There's just so many things, and I follow a lot of pages too. There's so many things we can all learn from each other. Most people I'm finding in the nutritarian community really love to help others, and I'm one of them. I'm here to help you.
Right. I'm the same way. We just want to get this information out to people because so many people are struggling. And I love what you said that, you know, most people are struggling and looking for this lifestyle to try to be successful is what I was trying to get through, is to get across. And so if you, like you and many others, are able to have groups like this that can help people who are struggling with everyday life to be successful with this lifestyle, that's huge. That's tremendous. And I thank you for doing that. That's wonderful. So, is there anything else you'd like to share, Katie, with people watching the video?
Yes, I would. Like I said, it seems very daunting to start completely changing how you eat, and there's so many factors pertaining to it, whether it be family expectations or being different than a spouse or people at work, you know, or your kids, you know, that aren't supportive or whatever. There's different difficulties in starting, and of course, you know, the elephant in the room is food addiction as well. So what I would encourage you to do is to figure out, if you are new to this, if you are just reading Eat to Live or you've read it and you think, oh my gosh, where do I even get started? Okay, think of one way you can start implementing your greens, beans, mushrooms, onions, berries, nuts, and seeds. Think of one way, maybe even just one meal to focus on a day. One thing that several people surprised me in the Food Revolution Network talked about was eating beans for breakfast. They keep you full, they level your blood sugars, they produce healthy gut microbes, or the biosystem in your gut. It helps regulate that. If you eat beans on a regular basis, you will eliminate gas problems and you will help regularity. And so, you know, that would be a good suggestion, would be to start figuring out some breakfast beans. That's something I'm working on, a post that I'm working on for my page. But so many of these big names in the plant-based community all eat beans for breakfast, and I myself have had refried beans for breakfast a few times, just straight out of the can and heated up. And it's true, I stay full, I feel great. So think
But just
of
for people who are, I'm sorry to interrupt you, just for people who are watching, if they're just starting out, we're not talking about pork and beans in the can with all the added sugar and the salt, or we're talking about black beans, kidney beans, white beans, fava beans. There's so many beans out there, but that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, thank you. You're absolutely right. And I will say, and this is really embarrassing, but as far as like Bush's pork and beans, you know, they taste delicious. Everybody I know that likes them, they get horrific gas. And I think it's because of all the sugar in them. Okay. So.
Well, and their their bodies aren't used to consuming them on a regular basis. Most people aren't doing that.
That's true, but especially when you combine the fact that if they're not used to eating beans on a very frequent basis, and the fact that it's full of sugar, which causes bad gas, then you're going to feel pretty miserable. So figure out a recipe. There's plenty on drfuhrman.com that are available for everyone. And then if you get a membership, then there's more recipes available. But that might be starting with beans first thing in the morning. So you start with your G-bombs, your greens, beans, mushrooms, onions, berries, and seeds. Some G-bomb, that might be a place to start. Breakfast might not be your place to start. Maybe it'll be lunch. But something that you can do to start getting yourself on track, and just little by little start breaking down your life, just like I did, and be like, well, I'm not drinking enough water, oh, why? Because the water tastes disgusting, I can't handle it. And so there is a place for all of us in the plant-based community. And the nice thing about being nutritarian is it's not the same as being a vegan or a vegetarian. It is about eating nutrient-dense foods at least 90% of the time. So if you're somebody who just thinks it's ridiculous to completely give up meat, or you can't or won't, whatever, you have some special extra protein need, you can still eat meat, but you just plan on eating more vegetables. Just eat more vegetables.
Right, you want to keep them minimal in your diet. Either minimal, or you could exclude them for certain people, which then you would have to have supplements, B12 and EPA, DHA supplements, so on, to be cautious. But you don't necessarily have to exclude these certain food categories.
Exactly. So that's what I like about this, is that we can adapt it to make it very livable. And I love that. I love that we can really be conscientious and make at least 90% of your foods that you're intaking free of meat, oil, sugar, salt. We can do this, and you will feel better. Your weight will normalize, even if you get stuck, for a few weeks at a certain weight like I did. Different other good things are happening within your body. You just have to keep at it, because this is a lifestyle change, and it is for your own good. You will feel better, I promise.
Most definitely. And I love the points that you covered, Katie, on, you starting somewhere, having beans for breakfast, veggies, maybe some greens, get some of your G-bombs in there. A lot of people are doing this. And, a lot of people will think, are you kidding? You're eating veggies for breakfast or beans? But yeah, your body gets used to it. Or like you said, it might become dinner time. Maybe your first meal of the day is dinner, if you're doing some intermittent fasting, whatever. But some great helpful information. Check out Katie's Practically Plant-Based Facebook group. She's got a lot of great information and sharing this stuff with others. And it's great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, Katie. And this is information that can help people like this. And so if you found value in the video, please subscribe. Consider subscribing to Rob Lee Nutrition, which is my YouTube channel here, and click the notifications button. It's because we're doing weekly videos. So, all right. Well, it's been a pleasure, Katie. And have a great day. I'm glad it didn't storm too bad there. And, maybe we'll do this another time. I'm
looking forward to it. I really appreciate everything.
Absolutely. All right. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.